Hello friends, today we will discuss about various rules in ecology. Then come to the first rule. And this is Boltzmann's rule. This rule is mainly about the animal body size. And this rule says that the animals which are living in equator has comparatively smaller body size than the animals which are living in poles. The animals which are living in equator has a small body size uh, but a high surface area to volume ratio. This is because to radiate heat, as we know that in equator the heat energy is more. So the animals which are living in equator have to radiate its excess heat. Whereas animals which are living in poles, the organisms which are living in poles, they have to conserve the heat energy, they have to reduce the heat loss, so they have a high body size, but a low surface area to volume ratio. As you can see this line, both the lines are of similar size, but it have a less surface area, it has a large surface area. The animal body which have a large surface area will radiate more heat than the animal which have less surface area. And then come to the second rule, that is the Richard Hess rule. uh, this is about the heart size of the body, heart size of the organism. You can relate H for heart, and by this method you can remember this rule. This rule says that the uh, animals which are living in equator has comparatively a small heart than the animals which are living in poles. As you can relate that the animal body size is smaller in equator, so it requires a small heart to pump the blood. And come to the third rule, that is Allen's rule. It mainly says about the body appendages and extremities like tail, limb, ear, pinna, etc. uh, the body appendages mainly help to radiate heat. So by this you can imagine the animals which are living in equator require these appendages in more quantity, so that they can radiate the heat out through it. And the animals which are living in poles have a comparatively small tail, small limbs, small body appendages to reduce the heat loss, and they have to conserve the heat energy. Next come to the fourth rule, that is Gloger's rule. It is mainly about the body pigmentation. It says that the animals which are living in equator the condition is hot and moist, so there is a high period of day and high intensity of sunlight. So there is a dark light, so dark light lead to the high melanin production, hence the pigmentation here is dark pigmentation. But in pole area there is bright light or comparatively cold and dry environment. The light is not so dark, hence there is a light pigmentation. That means melanin cannot develop in more intensity. Then come to the fifth rule, that is Jordan's rule. Jordan's rule is about the scales and vertebrae of fishes. It says that the fishes which are in equator has comparatively thin scales, and number of vertebrae is also less than the fishes that are living in poles. The pole fishes have a number of scales and more, and also they are thick, and number of vertebrae also they are high. This helps them to swim in the dense water. Then come to the sixth rule, that is Gauge's rule. Gauge's rule simply says that the animal body size may be depend upon the temperature. That means temperature variation may affect the body size of the animal. And come to the seventh rule, that is Renses rule. This rule is important because this says about something unique, that is bird's wing. How a bird's wing differ from equator and pole. The birds which are living in equator, that means in warm air is comparatively light, so they need a large wing, that means blunt wind, so that they can fly easily. It helps them to fly easily. But in cold air, the air is dense, so they have to fly um, by peering this dense air, so they have a pointed wing which help them to fly. Next come to the Cope's rule. This rule is come from evolution. This says that animal body size has increased during the course of evolution. First the animal body size is smaller, then with the course of time the size of animal increased. Then come to the on rule number 9, that is Leibig's rule. It says about the soil nutrient. It is also called as law of minimum quantity. It says that growth of any plant will get affected due to the nutrient which is present in limited amount. That means the plant require many nutrients for their growth, so the growth of the plant is affected by that nutrient which is present in the limited quantity than the optimum. Then come to their 10th rule, that is Ernest Shelford's law of tolerance. This rule is most appropriate, as it says that there is a optimum quantity in optimum value at which the organism show the best growth, means organism grow better, and then any deviation from this optimum quantity will adversely affect the growth of the organism. So accordingly there is a range of tolerance to which organism can survive. The organism which survive a large range of environmental conditions, they are called URI. So, and the organism which can survive a narrow range of conditions, they are called as steno. Accordingly you can imagine that stenothermic means the organism which can survive in a narrow range of temperature, and euthermics, that means the organism can survive a large deviation in the temperature. Then come to the 11th rule, that is Blackman's law of limiting factor. It is mainly about the photosynthesis. We know that various factors like carbon dioxide concentration, water, chloroplast, sunlight, chlorophyll content, they are the factors which affect the photosynthesis rate. Any of this quantity which is present in less than the optimum amount will affect the photosynthesis rate. That means it adversely affect the photosynthesis rate. From these rules you can notice one thing, that the rules like Blackman's law of limiting factor, Leibig's rule, these rules says that the nutrient or the factors which are present in limited amount, means less than the optimum, will affect the organism adversely. But the Shelford's law says that it may be present in less than or may be present in more than the optimum condition, will affect the organism adversely. Thank you guys.